Yes, you can accomplish most anything in your business if you're willing to follow some very simple steps in decision making. Hi, I'm Justin Hitt with Commercial Electrical Profits, Inside Strategic Relations, and a couple other newsletters. And I do these audio programs to address specific questions of my subscribers and clients, and actually to address situations that kind of irk me throughout the day when I'm working with people. One of the things that I saw today is that I was on a meeting, and I facilitate this particular meeting for, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 people. And the objective is to just see how everything's going, get focused on this particular project. And this is one of my larger clients. And I was asked to communicate when a certain file is updated, and this file identifies the scope of work to be completed. Now, this is similar to asking someone to maybe send an update when you post something new to a calendar. And I'm thinking, well, I'm just going to be blunt. These are grown adults. And if a certain file is updated every 30 days, and they regularly use this file in order to make a decision, that if it was not updated when they opened the file, then it had not been updated yet, and that would be a cause for action. So, like a management by exception. I opened the file, it wasn't up to date, therefore I take action. They don't necessarily need a communications. So, are they sitting around waiting for someone to tell them the file got updated? They're supposed to be regularly using this file. And I know I could rant on about this for a little bit, but here's the point. Here is the success factor that you need to know, not only to implement the insights that we share with you in this newsletter, not only to get more from your business, not just profits. It's not all about money. You can have a big ass pile of money and still not be happy. You can have a tiny pile of money and still not be happy. You might be happier with the big pile, but you not necessarily guaranteed. But you will be happy if you're able to have the lifestyle, have the friends, have the opportunities, have the freedoms, personal freedoms, and liberty freedoms that come with a certain perspective. What is that perspective? Well, first, that perspective is an internal locus of control. Now, I know locus of control sounds all fun, fancy and stuff, but locus of control is what you believe you have control over, or what you believe controls the world around you. So, an external focus, locus of control is believing that it's the outside coming in. It's the government. The reason why my business isn't as big as I want it to be, and I don't have the free time that I want, is because the government. God damn government. You probably heard that before. Somebody said, well, it's raining outside, so I can't play golf. Well, that's okay. It's an obvious fact that it's raining outside. Doesn't mean you can't play golf. You could play golf in the rain. Maybe you don't want to play golf now and you want to do something different. An external locus of control is where you allow the outside world to shape your decisions. If somebody cuts you off in traffic, that is an external event, but it doesn't have to make you upset. It's not your fault that they're stupid. Just the bottom line. So I'm advocating you have an internal locus of control where you believe and act according to you having control. Now, you may not actually physically have control, but your response to a situation determines whether or not you benefit from the situation or it's detrimental to you. Now, bad things really can happen, and it's okay to get upset, but maybe now is not the most appropriate time to get upset. But what I'm talking about here is responsibility. So let's take out the extremes and focus just on the average things that happen to you every day. These individuals on this call are grown adults and professionals, but they're waiting for an external indicator of when they can then take action. Okay, so it's kind of like a salesperson waiting for the telephone to ring before they can start setting appointments. I want you to take that and flip it over and look at it in a way that helps you most. Ask the question, why isn't the phone ringing? Well, maybe the phone's not ringing because nobody knows your company exists. Maybe the phone's not ringing because You, as an individual selling professional, or you as an executive, haven't done what's necessary to get the phone ringing. Just a change in perspective can identify solutions to some of the most challenging problems. If you're not making enough money, how could you make more money? It's not, I'm not making enough money because the government's taking it from me. Well, it's true the government's taking the money from you. But if you add more money, they're just going to take more, but you'll still have some for yourself. It's not like they're going to take it all. And if they do take it all, well, then there's a whole different thing that you got to deal with and no sense worrying about it. It's a perspective oriented towards outcome rather than a perspective oriented towards, what people are blamed, what people are doing to you. So, what other ways can you use that internal locus of control? Well, when you work with your salespeople, if you ask the question, why aren't we getting enough sales? Why aren't we making enough profits? And your response is because the salespeople didn't bring in the sales. Your response to your own question or your own answer to your own question should be, what can I do about it? And that's an answer to a lot of things. What can you do about it? Well, you can encourage your salespeople to take responsibility. Then you can walk down there and explain to them, look, you're salespeople, you create sales, and it doesn't matter what the excuses are why you haven't created sales. If you don't create sales, then I can't keep you on staff. And that's a blunt way of putting it. It's just one way of putting it. The fact of the matter is, though, you can't make sales for them, and customers don't just magically appear. So, what are they doing to make sales? What could they do to make sales? So, internally, you have to take and be the catalyst. Now, you might have a sales manager in between you and the salespeople. That's fine. Ask the sales manager, what could the sales team be doing? You're actually playing on his external locus of control, and then you measure him on his internal. So you say, well, what could the salespeople be doing in order to increase sales? And he says, well, they could get out prospect more. Great. What will you do in order to be sure they prospect more? It almost doesn't matter what the answer is. What are they going to do to create results? You give them responsibility. You give them a notion that they are responsible. They are going to make things happen. And pretty much it's stating in a sense that excuses are not welcome. So let me just tie this all together. There's a lot of crap that's going to happen now and in the future, and there's a lot of things that would be really nice if people told you about what's going on. But I'm advocating you have a proactive approach that puts you in the center of getting things done. That doesn't mean you actually have to do everything yourself. You could have your assistant monitor a situation in order to hold someone accountable and responsible for a certain activity. You could use external controls like measures. For example, a direct mail campaign. I hold a direct mail campaign accountable for a certain level of leads, and I measure how many letters I send, how many leads I receive, and the quality and value of those leads. It's an inanimate object. It can't physically have a perspective, but I hold it to that perspective as part of a responsibility or an action that I take to get more leads. And all this breaks down into a chain of events, a chain of cause and effect events, where you are ultimately the first cause. This chain of events eventually creates a specific result, and then as the first cause and observer of the chain, you make adjustments to that chain in order to reach the results faster. Now, here's a very, I'm going to explain it in terms that anybody can understand, but a very complex, in-depth topic that you could meditate on for years. But if you are the first cause, and what you cause eventually affects some kind of outcome, that chain of cause and effect from you to that outcome is a process. Because you want a certain outcome, repeat it, so you want sales every month. Your cause is to either hire a sales team or to go knock on doors or to go make phone calls. And the effect of that activity after a series of steps is a sale. Now, you don't just want sales, you want customers for life. This is how you expand the concept. But basically, you could write a list of the steps that you take. To cold call, you pick up the phone, you dial a phone number, and you engage with a prospect. Well, how do we make this step of engaging with prospect more successful? Well, that means we add a step before, which might be researching ideal prospects, and then we only call the people on the ideal prospect list by picking up the phone, dialing the number, and engaging. You literally can master your environment, engineer success in your business by understanding that you are the first cause in the results that your organization produces, and that chain of cause and effect is actually just a process. And the result you desire, if you want it to happen periodically, you can create a process. And then now you've documented this process, this series of steps, and it can be tuned to best impact or create results in your business. So let's go back to the conversation with the sales manager. You say to the sales manager, first you ask the question, how can we increase sales? The sales manager has 5 ideas. Great. What is your plan to implement the very best idea? Well, they write down the plan. Now, because they wrote down the plan, you can hold them accountable for their plan. Now, they could have all kinds of excuses why their plan didn't work, but it was their plan. It was the very best plan they had. So why not? You can give it a few adjustments here and there based on a dialogue or conversation, but now you've got a written plan. And that written plan will have certain characteristics tied to it, including how long did the plan take? How much money did it cost to implement the plan? What was the result of the plan? Did we or did we not increase sales? If we increased in sales, was it specifically because of the plan or something else? You got it? It's a process. Now, because you have the written process or written plan, you can then start syndicating it, which is an advanced topic that we talk about at Sustainable Wealth Secrets. But the syndication is basically, instead of 2 salespeople implementing the plan, you've got 3 people implementing the plan or 30 people implementing the plan. You could outsource parts of the plan and have other teams execute on the plan. It just, when you understand with this internal locus of control that you are, in fact, the root of your success or failure in your business, you now have an unlimited number of options. You still might have all the same numbers of pains in the asses around you and stuff not going right and the world crashing down around you. Literally, the government could be out to get you and everybody hates you. But none of that matters because you can just look at what is it that I can do to make the situation better, even if it is just to accept how crappy the situation is and do the best I can. Your attitude is going to make all the difference. This perspective will give you leverage and strength in many situations. People will call you deluded, and that's fine because what do they know anyway? And finally, because you now see the connection between your first cause and the desired outcome or result. And by the way, if you don't see the connection between what you're doing today and where you want to be in the future, you know that you can change it. Isn't this incredible? Now think about it. If what you're doing today will not produce in your mind the outcome that you desire tomorrow, then you can just not do it. It's like, who needs therapy? There it is. But if what you're doing today will produce the outcome, you now can document the steps it's going to take, even at the highest level. Serious folks, even at the highest level, you can eventually then get yourself out of doing all the work. You can start gaining the free time that you deserve. You can start having those things that you really desire and want because you've now structured that first cause and effect steps, process steps, desired outcome, measured along the process, and you can hand it to someone else to manage. So let's say you're currently managing your salespeople and you'd like them to do 5 calls a week. Salespeople can then manage themselves by doing 5 calls a week and reporting a checklist of what 5 calls they did. They're grown adults. You don't need to tell them every morning to do 5 calls. They just tell them one time, have them measure, and then as part of their regular process. That's what they do. And because you're measuring it, you know whether or not that's worth doing. And voila, you're now free of the shackles, which is having to manage people to every little detail. Now, I know some people's personalities you want to manage to every little detail, but it's not necessary. And it's not necessary starting with you deciding that you're the first cause. Not only are you the first cause, but you are not time wise connected with the outcome, meaning what you do this minute isn't necessarily going to immediately create a result. It's going to help, but it's not immediately going to create the result. And understanding that a series of cause and effects are necessary, maybe to build a momentum, maybe to reach a certain person, maybe to refine the process to get there more directly. But the bottom line is that you have the power over this. Now, you can assist other people or have other people assist you to make it happen, but ultimately it is your decision, even if you've got a boss. But anyway, last call. We're going to round this up. This is program J0418B, and it is specifically about shifting your focus. If you want more customers, you want more profits, you want more long-term benefit from your organization, then it is simply deciding what will you do right now. There's nobody on the outside that has to tell you to do it. What are the things that you've got to do right now in order to get those results? What are the things that are standing in the way that could maybe not be done, that could be set aside while you focus on what needs to be done? Maybe you focus on what needs to be done for 3 hours a day and everything else can be totally crapped up, and you're still going to get the results because you got the best things, the most important, the most critical path items done first. It's really up to you. Now, a lot of people don't want to hear that because it feels good to be able to blame other people. But I'll tell you, everything that's been screwed up in my life before to this point and long into the future is going to be a result of what I did or did not do. And not doing something is as much of a decision as doing something. And for the folks that asked about this topic, how do I get motivated? That was one of the questions. How do I get more done? How do I deal with irritating people? How do I Well, you just decide that you're going to have a certain result. Based on that result, what is the cause? What needs to be done? What is necessary to impact that situation? And then out of that, what can you do right now? I want to thank you for listening to this program. If you have any questions about this or any other program that we provide, we have a 24-hour recorded message hotline, and you're going to get one of these audio responses or printed report or fax to your office when you call 757-282-7779 and ask your question. This has been program J0418B, and you're welcome to ask about this or anything else. If I don't know the answer, I won't answer you. I'll just send you a note with a reference to somebody who does have an answer. But if it's about building business relationships, if it's about improving in your performance and optimization of your business process, especially those processes around generating and keeping profitable customers, then I'll be happy to answer those with the blunt honesty that I've got to answer it with. But the bottom line, folks, is that you are the catalyst for your results. There are certain things that you don't need to be told to do. You just need to do them, and you get to decide what things need to be done for the result of your life. It gives you more power, it gives you more control, and it gives you a greater ability for significant results. I'm Justin Hitt with Commercial Electrical Profits and Inside Strategic Relations Newsletter. I want to thank you for listening. This has been program J0418B.